My name is Janani Krishnan-Jha, and I'm a postgraduate fellow with Impact, representing the arm of the organization dedicated to mentoring the next generation of South Asian leaders. We are so excited to have convened such an incredible lineup of speakers today, and we encourage you all to stay tuned throughout the broadcast for more amazing speeches and an interactive breakout room session. Today, we've heard about Indian American representation from the perspective of elected officials and civil rights advocates. In this next segment, we'll touch on another important form of representation in entertainment and media. Because for our community to achieve full representation in every aspect of public life, we have to be able to see ourselves represented on screen. You may recognize these next three panelists from their recent work in television, including the shows Atypical, Special, and Netflix's hit series, Never Have I Ever. They're taking the entertainment industry by storm, and they're also engaging in grassroots advocacy efforts to increase civic participation. Please join me in welcoming Nik Dodani, Punam, and Rushi Kota to the virtual stage.
Hello. Thank you so much. Thank you to Impact for having us, and thank you to all the Indian Congress people who spoke for representing us and for all the folks running. But now we're going to talk to the people who are actually making a difference in our country, working tirelessly every day in a thankless profession with no perks and low pay. Actors. I'm pleased to introduce our panel today. We have Emmy loser Punam Patel. Never have I ever heard of this actor before yesterday, Rushi Kota. And I'm Nik Dodani, the gay one. So we were asked to talk about South Asian representation in entertainment. And honestly, it's an exciting time for brown people in Hollywood. We have people like Mindy Kaling, Hasan Minhaj, and Padma Lakshmi, all of whom are so successful and busy that Impact had to settle for us. Let's just dive right in, shall we? First question for both of you. If you were running for the president of Hollywood, what would your platform be? Punam, why don't you go first?
I think if I was running for the president of Hollywood, and this is going to sound a little harsh, but my platform would be, you know how you've heard of like no new friends? I think for my first month, we'd do a campaign of no new whites and just test it out for a month and see if we just put a moratorium on maybe specifically hiring straight white men for a month. No new straight white men. We've hit the quota, we've maxed out, and just see what it looks like if we really put forth effort for a month to find people besides straight white men to fill every position, whether it's acting, writing, executives. I would also implement this rule where if you look around your room, whether it's a writer's room or a boardroom, and everyone looks at you, like looks exactly like you, you'll be fined. And that fine will then be put towards the salaries of the people you hire that are people of color. And I'm not saying just hiring one person of color, because we can't bear the weight of everyone by ourselves. It will go towards the salaries of hiring multiple people of color, so no space looks the same. Thank you so much.
I love it. I'll vote for you. Now, do you expect to achieve that?
Like, how do I follow that?
I mean, hey, Punam, do you expect to achieve that, by actually getting the votes of the community, or will you have to go with like executive action? Because
I hope the community will support me. It's a big risk, but I feel like it shouldn't be seen as a risk. I feel like a lot of times when people of color, are hired, we're the wild card, or like, what an interesting move. But I want to get to a place where we are considered amongst everyone else, and we get to exist amongst everyone else, and it's normalized to have us be seen right next to everyone else.
Normalize brown people. All right, Rushi, how about you? If you're running for president of Hollywood, what would your platform be?
First of all, is there a president of Hollywood? What does the president of Hollywood do besides going out and playing golf? But if I had to, my platform would be to make everyone in Hollywood do a puja, do every kind of puja that's available, because we all need a cleansing after this year. So, I just want everyone to be spiritually cleansed, be ready for a new year, so that we can all just work in unison.
Okay, so no new white people and mandated religious activities. I think this is going to be
not problematic at all.
really well received by the Hollywood community. All right, next question for you. What was the first movie or TV show that made you feel like a brown piece of shit?
Mine's gonna have to be Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh.
Because I tell you what, I am a huge Amrish Puri fan. Ever since he was Mogambo in Mr. India, Mogambo Kushwa, I thought he was like, he's such an iconic, amazing Indian actor. And then you watch Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Villains. But I thought it was just so, yes, it's disgusting. Yes, it's problematic, but also it just like didn't make sense to have a bunch of brown people eating monkey brains and snake babies and all these things. Cause I'm like, a lot of us don't even eat meat. And like, how is that different than like all the people here eating pigs and cows and chickens and eggs? Like, it's just so arbitrary how we choose which animals we're going to eat and which ones we're not going to eat. So that was number one. And two, of course, then I would get the question in school, does your family eat that? And I'm like, my mom takes the cheese off of her pizza. No, we don't eat monkey brains. So I felt like that made me feel like a brown piece of shit because I was so excited to finally have someone brown on screen. And then it was like, oh, there must not have been an Indian person in the room to be like, hey, guys, maybe we don't do that.
Yeah.
Rushi, how about you?
Mine have to be Johnny Number 5. I think I grew up watching that. I was so excited about sci-fi films, and it was a robot. I like robots, and I was like, cool. There's finally, someone like me on screen. And then years later, I learned it's not even an Indian guy playing it. I was just like, it just blew my mind. I was like, I can't even fathom right now. I have to like look up who this person was and why they accepted this role and why they did that to our community. It's just like it just wronged me in so many ways.
That's true. Huh?
What about you?
Oh wow, I didn't prepare any answers to my own questions. Oh gosh, I don't even know. So much. I'm gonna move on to the next question before I say something I'm not supposed to. Can I take a quick moment to ask the organizers to mute whoever is typing away? I think we're hearing. Oh, was that Punam? Oh no. I don't even know what's happening. It's all right. It's okay. Okay. All right. Next question. If you could make one Indian demand on every set you work on, what would it be? Rushi, let's start with you.
I would have chupples at the end of after I cut. Boom, chupples, please. I want my shoes off. I want some chupples to walk around in and be comfortable in. That's what my demand would be.
Important.
I'm gonna go with a chai pani nasto every 3 hours.
Every 3 hours.
Every 3 hours.
3 hours.
It sounds ridiculous, but I think it would create for a calmer, better environment.
Right on.
And who doesn't like chai pani nasto? Like, no matter the weather, Indian people are going to be drinking hot chai.
Yeah.
In the hottest country in the world, during the hottest of the year, we will drink hot chai. So that would be my demand. But also,
that's pretty good.
To go along with my presidential campaign, my real demand would be, if I'm on a show, and even if I'm not on a show, but if I'm on a show, like, have another Indian person there. Don't let me be the only one. Because I've done sets before where I'm the only Indian person. I'm some tertiary character, and I'll go and set deck has put like a little Ganesh statue on my character's work desk. And it's like, you don't know anything about my character. She doesn't have an Indian name. She doesn't have a last name at all. But because I'm brown, you put this because you think that's you acknowledging that I'm Indian. But not all Indian people are Hindu. Not all Indian people believe in Ganesh. Also, if you're going to use Ganesh, you have to know where to put him. You can't just slap him on a desk. And then I really cringed because I was like, I'm not even super religious, but I'm like, they probably just threw him back in a prop bag and he's probably in some warehouse right now. But again, if there is a person there that represents the community. Yeah, that one Indian person may not be able to represent every single Indian person on set, but at least there'll be a voice there. And if there's more than one, at least it's a safe space for our voices, because it's also hard to be the only one speaking up.
I agree. I completely agree with you. I think, you know, we got to get with the diversity quota of that productions that they have to fill, you know, their, you know, 50%, 60% gets to be white people, and then one person gets to be Asian, and that Asian's such a huge category, and two people get to be black, and it's just it's completely unequal, unfair, and I hate it. And you know, I think on a show like Never Have I Ever, that is definitely not the norm. They're really moving towards a new way of seeing people like us on TV, and it's awesome.
I'm jealous. I know. I mean, even 50-60% white sounds great. I'm usually stuck with like 80-90. No offense to all my colleagues who I love very much, and I'm grateful for the work. I think if I were to have one Indian man on set, it would be that a PA texts my mom every hour to let her know that I'm okay. Because the amount of times I get just phone calls and texts while I'm working from mom,
Yeah.
You know, no shade, but I'm working.
I'm working, Mom.
You know? All right. If you were doing an all South Asian remake of Harry Potter, who would you cast as Harry, Ron, and Hermione? Punam?
Honestly, I think you guys are looking at it.
Oh?
And you know, I'm very untraditional. I think I would actually cast myself as Harry. So maybe like a Huddy or a Harriet or a whatever.
Harriet.
And then you guys can decide which one of you is Ron and which one is Hermione. I don't know why, Nick. I feel like you are Hermione. You're a little quirkier.
And I would love to get a Punam. I could get
And
a
then Ron
Punam.
is more of the traditional beauty, which is Rushi. So that's my casting.
Right on. I like it.
I would do that film.
Yeah.
Please, I'm available.
Although I don't think J.K. Rowling has any interest in us. Rushi, how about you? Who would you cast in your dream all basic?
I would actually go Nick, you be Harry. I would put Mike in as Hermione. I would put Karan Sony as Ron, and Utkaresh Ambakar and myself would be Fred and George Weasley.
Amazing. Wait, who did you say for Hermione?
For my 3?
Oh, amazing. Yes. Yeah. Amazing. Oh, that's a great cast. I would love to see you and Akarsh as Fred and George. Who would be Fred? Who would be George? I mean, who dies? That's the real question.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure that out later.
I'll figure it out later. Again, I don't think this is ever going to happen, so you don't have to figure it out. Yeah. All right, next question. As actors, how do you deal with the pressures of not only being beautiful, but also being a pillar of humanity? Rushi?
Oh man, I think that's a really tough question. Thank you that you think I'm beautiful, but I don't know. I think just thinking about, you know, like what stage of actor you are of, okay, am I just hustling for the job right now? Am I hustling to get my first job right now? I think it becomes a very difficult situation because, you know, the more popular you get, the more fan base you develop, and the more diverse your fan base is, and it really becomes a challenge of like, okay, well, how do I, you know, through my humanity, through my activism, how do I not offend someone? And I don't know. I think it's a very complicated question of, there's obviously a right and wrong, and you know, you have to, for every right there's going to be 10 arguments that are saying that it's wrong. So my question to you is that I don't know. I think it's a very challenging question.
That's fair. Do you think actors have an obligation to be speaking up about political issues? And that's not a leading question.
No. I've been thinking about that throughout this whole time during quarantine of when is it okay just to be an actor, and then now, you know, when is it not you have to be more than just an actor? I think either way you're going to offend someone. Like right now we're at this panel where we all feel a certain kind of way, but there is a whole slew of people who don't feel the way we do. So speak up in terms of speak up, but you also have to find a way to unify people. And I think that's really hard to do, especially because we're so divided right now.
Spoken like a true actor. Punam, how about you? Dealing with the pressures of beauty, how do you also manage to be a pillar of our society?
Well, to speak on what you were asking about, like being an actor and activism, I feel like it's so case by case, but there's so many issues of humanity today that have been politicized that I think sometimes people can see it as controversial when an actor takes a stance on something. But really, at the end of the day, a lot of the things we're taking stances on are questions of humanity. And I think that we're human beings first. And if we feel really strongly about our moral compasses and also about other people and just the simple act of caring about others, then I think, yeah, that absolutely should be a part of, you know, your platform if you have one, because you do have a responsibility when you can reach so many people, and not a responsibility in the sense that you have to post all the time, but you do have to recognize that when you can reach a lot of people, your words do have a lot of weight. And as we've seen with the current administration, that can go south, and you can empower people in a dangerous way, or you can empower people in a really light, bright, powerful way. I was a journalism major in college, so I wanted to be like a foreign correspondent on the front lines, like changing the world. And somehow I've become an actor and I love it. But I think when I first started acting, I really struggled with like, God, is this such a shallow profession? Like, I'm not making a difference. I'm not helping anyone. I'm just like clowning around on TV. And yeah, I'm bringing people joy because I make them laugh. But I think the more I think about it, everyone has their own way of helping or speaking out or making a difference. And it doesn't all have to be, you know, on a soapbox preaching. Like for me, I think me just existing in certain spaces is me making a difference. And then me just speaking out, even if it's not in a public forum, in that certain space, to be like, hey, I don't think we should do that and this is why. Or hey, I'm not comfortable with that and this is why. Those little things make a difference. So I think no matter your profession, because I know it can feel really hopeless sometimes if, you know, we're not in government or we're not lawmakers, to be like, well, what the hell do we do? But I think no matter your profession, you can find a way to make at least a little difference in this world.
That's why I love you, Punam. All right, we are running out of time, so I have one last question really quickly. In 3 words, describe how you feel about Bobby Jindal. Punam.
Don't know her.
Rushi.
Piyush, Piyush, Piyush. I would say that too.
All right. Thank you both so much for joining me today. Thank you, Impact, for having me. On a serious note, make sure you vote early, make a plan to vote, and get all your aunties and uncles to do the same.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Rushi. Thank you, Punam, for joining us. It's great to have you. Excited to have you at the next Impact Summit. Really appreciate your routine. Thanks.
Hope it didn't piss you off. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We're good. We're good. I don't think Bobby is watching today, so we're fine.
Oh, good.